With this major news out of the Supreme Court ending affirmative action and Chief Justice Roberts writing for the conservative majority, there are concerns about the politics of all of this. And joining me now to discuss is radio host and political commentator Mo Kelly. You can catch him weeknights 7 to 10 p.m. on KFI AM 640. Mo, always great to have you on. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get to it. The High Court outlaws consideration of race as a factor in college admissions, saying race-conscious decisions for higher education are a violation of the 14th Amendment. What exactly, Mo, what are they trying to rectify with this decision?
Well, they're trying to and actually they're making the argument that the historical barriers which precluded people like African Americans and Latinos from, and even women for that matter, getting into these institutions of higher learning no longer exist. And the argument that diversity was somehow a compelling feature of universities was no longer viable and not necessary in assessing a potential student's worth or contribution to a university. And so if you accept the idea that the barriers are no longer there, then this decision makes sense to you. If you've taken the long view of history of how students of various colors and creeds and nationalities were excluded, then you have to wonder whether we're actually at this point where race no longer matters, and it should not be used as a point of consideration.
Well, you just led me to something there. They say that it can still be in consideration when you're filling out essays, your race and things of the nature, but not as an implication of why you should be accepted into a college. What's the difference there between considering it and being not a deciding factor?
Well, a lot of people misunderstand. Affirmative action wasn't choosing black or brown people instead of white people. It was saying that you could bring into the discussion or consider race when you had two equal students. So the lie was that black people and brown people were taking more qualified white people's spaces. That wasn't the case. What they're saying now is you just cannot use that as part of the decision-making process.
Well, and what are the politics of all this, Mo? Affirmative action was twice reaffirmed with the precedent. Is this a left issue, a right issue? What are the political dividing lines, as most things often are in this country?
As you might admit, it falls along the predictable political lines. If those who are left of center would say, hey, we're not a racist, those who are left of center would say, hey, we're not in a colorblind society and we have legacy admissions and those aren't colorblind in nature. And if you take out the fact that historically black and brown people were excluded from these institutions while we have HBCUs, then you also have to know then that the legacy component is not usually available for black and brown students, because in the 60s, my parents could not even attend Georgetown University, where I attended. So the whole idea of a legacy, it needs to be addressed as well. So we don't live in a colorblind society if you're on the left side of the aisle. And if you're on the right side of the aisle, we say, no, America has not been a racist country. It never was. And we live in a colorblind society now. So we should have equal access and equal consideration regardless of race.
You mentioned those things that a lot of folks are still talking about, whether it be class, whether it be legacy admissions and whatnot. Folks are saying, well, what about those? Quickly get you out of here. Mo, you're a man of pop culture. Are we hopping in the DeLorean and going back in time with some of these things? You talk about the affirmative action being banned, and then you talk about some states that are banning and restricting voting rights even more. We have some states where they are taking immigrants and just dropping them off in other states. Do you feel as though this country is maybe going backward when it comes to equality?
Absolutely. If you look at the SCOTUS decisions of the past 2 weeks, as far as what happened in Louisiana and Alabama, if you're not taking into account how the SCOTUS gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, saying that we don't need to worry about this race shenanigans in the South, then we realize, oh, yes, we do have to worry about the race shenanigans in the South. It's ignoring history to move the country forward and act like history never happened. And I don't think we should ever do that. But that's in the larger debate of what should be taught and what shouldn't be taught to kids. I firmly believe we should teach them actual history, even the bad parts.
All right. Well, there you have it. Mo Kelly, thank you for joining us. It's going to be interesting to see what a lot of folks have to say about this. You can, again, catch Mo, of course, from 7 to 10 on KFI AM 640. Thank you so much, Mo. Always great to have you.